family podcast. It's okay. Most of you guys don't watch live anyways. We are joined here by the fantastic man who breaks all MLS news. You've probably seen him on so many rumors, and if you don't have Twitter, X, or whatever they call it, you're probably like, who the hell is this guy? You just see his name all the time, just at Tom Bogert is the one that they source. That's who we have here today. Tom, we had you on last year. We made some predictions with you where I wasn't close on any of them. Maddie did pretty good. You did pretty good.
Did I?
I did very bad. But how are you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good. I would have assumed that would set me up for dumb things I've said. So I'm glad to hear I wasn't too far off.
No, you did really good. You asked a question of who has more goals and assists of Diogo or Diego, and my dumbass was the only one who picked Diogo. So everyone else did really good. Turns out I had a little bit more hope in me that didn't pay off.
That's the always good lesson to learn. Never hope. Hope's the
Yeah,
most
just
dangerous thing you can give a man.
don't hope and then you can't be hurt. I'm learning that with RSL season, and we'll kind of jump into this off season. Now, for people listening live, coming in thinking that Tom's going to break some amazing new DP news, that's not why we brought him on. If he wants to, he can go ahead and make up a rumor even. I'd go for that. Like, if you just want to make something up, that'd be cool with me. But we're not bringing on Tom to do that. That's not what he does. What we're wanting to bring Tom on to do is talk about what he sees in not only the RSL offseason, just kind of the market and what he kind of saw from last season and how it can go into this season. So let's just start off. Tom, it's been a very short news cycle for RSL. We moved off of starters Ojeda and Vera. Those are the only starters we moved off of. Might have been expected to move off of some other players, but those are the only outgoing. And then we have some new coming guys that are pretty young, but maybe no day one starters yet. So tell me what you see RSL doing just from your standpoint.
Yeah, very incomplete at this moment. It'd be difficult to give it, either a full grade or um, a full answer because you left off one starter, like technically starter, who's gone. Ruan Cruz, he is also gone. That is
Mm-hmm.
has been reported, I believe, in Brazil, but sources have confirmed that he will be leaving the club or has left the club. He's going to go on another loan, I believe, to Ludogorets. That's what they say in Europe. That's where he was before Botafogo bought him for $10 million and then didn't play him really much at all. He came here underwhelmed within a few months. I didn't know if he was going to get another preseason, another season to start. So they do have that open DP spot. And to your point, it's just been really about departures at this moment. And there still might be more. Who knows about Diogo Gonçalves if he stays? So there's at least one DP spot open, maybe a second. The plan is to fill that DP spot with another, but it's difficult to talk about the offseason at this stage where teams are starting preseason training, and it's a lot of, well, if this, then that. I don't know about this. I don't know about that. Oh, McAnally wants a new contract, and teams have made bids, and Real Salt Lake don't want to trade him, but if they don't give him a new contract, then it's just too many things that are incomplete to really know the full picture.
So follow up to that. Now, obviously, we're very early on in the offseason still. Games don't start for another
Mm-hmm.
month. Most teams haven't even started playing preseason games. In fact, most of their actual training began today across the league. How would you compare RSL? Just what should fans kind of be thinking that support RSL and saying, are we actually doing much compared to a lot of these other teams? Are we in the middle, behind? How would you compare that? I mean, as you report across the league.
That's a really good question. Context matters for all of these spots.
Right.
So there are some other teams that I guess have technically done less than Real Salt Lake, but some of those teams are the teams that don't need to do much. But even there's one team that has done more that I don't think needs to do so much. It's like Seattle. Like they brought in Nikola Pekovic, and if he doesn't do anything for them, he's still like that's fine.
Right.
Whereas there are other teams that have needs and they need to rely on new signings. Like that is the overwhelming majority. Like Seattle are a rare case. Real Salt Lake are a team that need to make additions that have not yet made additions. And that's kind of where I see this sitting right now. So if you want to look at it in the landscape of teams, even just in the Western Conference, doesn't look super pretty at the moment. I don't want to be too doom and gloom because there are still good points to the roster. Again, Emeka Anelli is an excellent defensive midfielder. Diego Luna has proved he can be the guy on a playoff team. I just hope that he doesn't have to be the only guy. I think Victor Olatunji, I liked that signing. I liked what he showed at the end of last season, and they're going to build off that. So in one way, it's a little bit worrying where they stand, but in the other way is, hey, if a DP9 comes in that the team was searching for all of last season that never did come and they still made the playoffs, like that's the optimistic view. And I do know that they're working. I know that they want to bring in another handful of signings, but it's going to come down to me is the talent and attack probably more than anything else.
I have a question, Tom. First of all, is the light on my microphone triggering you? Should I turn that off just so that you don't put holes in your wall? Are we okay?
No, we're okay. What would trigger me is if the only way to control that is if you have to download an app and then use the app to control it. Because, like, why the hell would anything just be made to be useful and not collect data?
I mean, you wouldn't want to just have a button you could push and turn it off, of course.
Yeah, and listen, audio professionals gave me this mic. I didn't go seeking a new mic.
I can send you the link for this one if you want. I'd like to talk about one of the outgoing and a possible incoming. Brian Vera, when he left us, that obviously caused a lot of consternation in the fan base. Did you have anything or hear anything about why he would want to leave or why specifically he might want to leave the contiguous United States and go to Canada?
That's an interesting. I kind of see where you're going with on that. I thought that was more of Montreal made an offer that I didn't think was out there. So I like Brian Vera as a player. I think that's a fair valuation, and I don't know if this had anything to do with contract talks or anything else, but I was surprised when Montreal was the team that put in that bid. They're not exactly a high-spending team, and I know he's not old, but usually when they do spend even a little bit of money, it's on a U22 type player.
Okay. And then I know you've been talking a lot on Inside American Soccer, which I do want to get back and talk to you about that because I'm addicted about the U.S. and what system they should play and whether they should play 5 with 3 center backs. RSL seems to have the left side locked down with Katranas, who can play left wing, with Junko, who can play left back or left center back. On the right, RSL brought in Lucas Engel in the reentry draft. Are you hearing anything about whether that loan's going to get done or that deal's going to get done?
I haven't heard anything new. Teams are like, I'm surprised that nothing has been official that's happened because there's nothing that has to do with tampering. But teams have an idea of what it would cost to make this happen if we select this player in these. That's not 100% thing, but I just usually assume something to get worked out. And I would say with Engel, he's like Junqua, where he's more of like a left side, like probably in MLS at this stage of his athleticism is more so a left-sided center back in a back 3 or a left back that isn't bombing forward the same way that Katranas does. But I think that would create even more flexibility for a back 3 type system, whether it's they're actually playing a back 3 or they're building out of a back 3, whether they start in a 4-4-2.
And for those of us who don't watch East Coast teams all the time, where do you see him as a player? Like most teams in the league, how many do you think he starts on? Like, are we getting a good player if we do get him?
Yeah, I think he's a solid player. I thought he finished a little weaker than he started, and I don't know if that's just down to it's a long season and he had a couple like little nagging injuries, and Cincinnati as a whole did. But I thought he was going to be more like not quite like Katranas, but I thought that he was much more wing back than left-sided center back. Kind of reminds me a little bit of Malty Amundsen. Like when Columbus acquired him, I was like, oh, that's interesting. Like I don't really love him as a wing back here, but like I think he could do that job. And then he's playing at left-sided center back and playing really, really well for that Columbus team. I think Engel falls in that where he can do that. Katranas is better at that role, but he is good more at the left-sided center back.
So I have a question, kind of going back into acquiring players. Market size is something that RSL fans talk about a lot because I think a lot of it's because a lot of us are Jazz fans and we just think that we don't deserve good things because we're a small market. And I fear that that's really bled over to RSL fans where we just don't believe we actually can get good big player names, even if they're, a little bit older. Maybe we're not getting obviously, Messi or, Son, some of these huge names. How do you view market in MLS, and does that actually play the biggest factor that it might play in other sports? And are RSL fans right in worrying about market size like that?
It is definitely not like the NBA, and particularly given the place where MLS sits in the global soccer ecosystem as well, and just the nature of soccer versus basketball. Like that is totally fair with the Jazz, like the Jazz, and you could say that for a bunch of other NBA markets where it's just like, yeah, we're, when LeBron hits free agency, we're probably not in that sweepstakes, and you probably go down a couple rungs there. And that informs the roster building decisions from them. Even the super successful smaller market teams like San Antonio and Oklahoma City, like two of the very best at what they do, particularly right now. They build through the draft, right? Because that's a real concern. Soccer, it's not quite like that. You're absolutely correct when we're saying the Son Heung-min, when we're talking about Lionel Messi, when we're talking about Gareth Bale coming for Tam, or insert something like that. Like, yeah, that's going to be for the LA clubs, Miami clubs, and maybe the New York clubs. And then when they investigate that a little bit more, it's not quite the same. Those advantages are more LA and Miami.
Sure.
But in MLS, like, there's a lot of other ways to win. Like there are Miguel Almiron, and you don't have to only spend like Atlanta United, right? But this is the first one that comes to mind. Miguel Almiron like tells the story like of Tata Martino called him trying to sign him from Lanús, and Miguel Almiron goes, "I don't know where Atlanta is. I don't care. Tata, I'm coming." Right? So that exists for this team and a bunch of other teams, and Atlanta might not be the right example because you don't only get there by outspending literally everybody else.
Right.
Who's like Minnesota has done well. Vancouver has done well. And these are all, maybe Minnesota is more analogous to that of a player from Europe might be like, I've never really heard of that area. I don't know much about it. And you might face that kind of, that's just something to solve in the process. But I'll tell you what, there's a lot of Brazilians in the Saudi League. I don't think that they grew up dreaming of that. Money goes a long, long way.
Right. So kind of a follow up to that. So RSL, we've been in a position where we've really stagnated up to this point. We're making the playoffs, and then we're not getting it past the first round. It's been the past 4 years. 5 years we've made the playoffs. Past 4 years we haven't made it past that first round. Last year we talked about, when you were on the podcast, the key to RSL was going to be A, Diogo, who didn't turn out, and then B, is this defense really taking that step up? And without Cabral, we are in a very poor position. So it's really early to be able to say what's the key for RSL because, again, we're over a month away from the season. There are a lot of moves that could be made. But when you look at the Western Conference and the decisions that are being made, how does RSL move forward other than, obviously, hey, you have 2 DP/U22 spots. You should probably use those. Other than that, what do you think RSL needs to do to take that next step?
Unfortunately, it's that
Right.
because I don't see the natural evolution within this group to like Minnesota, the way that they defended and the way that they tried to exploit set pieces and structure and everything else while having a talent deficit. That was before Taniolo Osei left, and they really had a talent deficit going forward after that. I don't see those pieces in this Real Salt Lake group, and that is a very, very extreme example, and it's not one that's going to be super easy to replicate, particularly after their head coach left, particularly after a couple other guys left. You think about the Colorado Rapids. Even the Colorado Rapids spent $8 million with Paxton Harrison.
Right.
Hafa Navahu, I forget what his fee ended up being, but he wasn't cheap, right? And that's a team that we routinely make fun of for not spending much. And that's $13 million on 2 of their DPs. And then they spend pretty decent within the league to get Dante Seeley and some other guys. So without that, clear identity or market inefficiency, and whether that is the playing style, Philadelphia Union is the absolute best for this. They don't spend more money. They have guys who probably wouldn't be so great on some other teams, depending on the system, but they're perfect for what they play. RSL doesn't have that. You can still get by, and another market inefficiency is youth. Like Diego Luna and Xavier Gozo, that's a good start there. And there are some other good. Colby Henry, somebody I like. I'm excited to see what he's going to be this year. But they don't have enough of a market inefficiency there where it's, that's going to carry the team. So
Right.
A team like Real Salt Lake is the majority of the rest of the league, where you need to do a lot of things well because you don't do any one thing. You're not going to outspend teams. You're not going to outstar power. You're not going to outpress. But if you're really good at a lot of things, that's how you get forward. So your question was, other than you spending money on some DPs and U22, is you don't need to spend $10 million on each of these spots, but you need to spend something because that's just where the roster is where it is right now.
Right. Go ahead, Maddie.
I don't want time to go away, Tom. Thank you for that answer. Can you tell us, everyone kind of associates you with Soccer-Wise, or as a lot of people call it now, Soccer-Wiser, the hardcores of us who thought that was hilarious. Sorry, Bubba. I know he didn't like it as much as I did. Can you tell us about your new podcast, Inside American Soccer, how that started and how it's going for you guys?
Yeah, first of all, it's not Soccer Wiser when I'm on it because I'm not smart enough to keep up with those guys. Just Soccer Wiser when it's me. It's Soccer Wiser when it's Matt Doyle and Bobby Warshaw joining guys. Yeah, Inside American Soccer, I get to sit down with Tab Ramos every week and talk about the U.S. and it's been fun. I'm glad to hear that you're enjoying it. I think that we've had pretty good chemistry quickly, which is super nice. He's really good. I'm not surprised at all, but like he does TV work is his like media background, because obviously he's just been coaching forever. But he does like TV in Spanish is different than a podcast and a podcast in English with me. Like he's awesome. I can't say enough good things. So that's been a lot of fun, and every week we get to dive into the biggest stuff around the national team. We've had some fun kind of around the holidays where there's no camps until March. We're far enough away from the November window. We've talked about the World Cup group. We've done all that preview stuff, so we'll have some fun over the next few months. We got Tony Miola on. We're gonna do a mailbag episode this week, some other stuff. But yeah, it's been enjoyable, and I don't know, man. It's like Tab in particular is funny because we do something every week where we just try to pry just a different random story from his career that doesn't need to be tangentially related to anything we talk about. Just he like the first couple weeks he goes like, yeah, I don't know if the stories are that good or I don't know if does anybody really want to hear about like my playing day? Like, shouldn't we talk more about when I was coaching the U20s? I was like, no, I also want to do that. I was like, Tab, yes, people want to hear about your playing days, very, very much so. And he's like, I don't know. Or he'll tell something hilarious and be like, I know it's like not that great of a story. I was like, not that great. It would have been my best story. What are you talking about? So
Dude.
He's a wealth of knowledge and a wealth of good time.
Tab telling stories about like buying his soccer cleats in like the laundry baskets in the middle of the aisle in the grocery store. And then like the first time I met him down in Bradenton, I asked him about behind American Soccer with Bruce Arena. Or no, Steve Sampson. Steve Sampson pointed at somebody's shin guard who had written Tab on a piece of tape because Tab was injured. And I'm like, hey man, when this happened, like, was that John Harkes? Because I know you guys were roommates. And I see Tab like, security? I don't know. This guy knows way too much about me.
I'm not that big of a star, but he's so down to earth for like somebody who's, again, he's the best midfielder in U.S. history for me, and like he was a good coach. Like he was with the Federation for a while. It's like how funny how normal he is, and I'm like, dude, like, or he'll talk about like his high school stat. He literally scored like 160 goals in high school. Like I don't think I'm exaggerating. It's something that's insane. And he goes, it wasn't. And then I was like, dude, that's incomprehensible to anybody else. And you're just like, it wasn't that impressive. I was like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, we don't want to know the behind the life of professional athletes. That's definitely not what normal people who just work normal jobs ever want. That's not why we watch sports.
Hey man, Leonardo had to cut his hair because if I ever see him, that dude's getting 2-footed, and I don't care if he's 70. Okay, Tab was talking about that. He's talking about a skull fracture the way I talk about rolling my ankle,
I haven't even broached that yet because I want to save that for whenever, like when it makes sense. And I bet he'll be like, people already know the story. I'm like, no, dude, like he sends me a text. Somebody tweeted that the U.S. futsal team in 1989, he played. Peter Vermees was on the team. Tab sends me the tweet and goes, by the way, this was in the middle of World Cup qualification. We were just also playing for the futsal team because that's how U.S. Soccer wanted to use us. It's incredible.
And Brooklyn Americans on Wednesday nights, right? Because you got to stay in form.
Playing imagine showing up to a Mets game and it's just like John Harkes, Tony Miola, and Tab Ramos. It's like, God damn it. What are you guys doing here?
I don't want to think about that. I don't want to take a Miola sidewinder in the face. Thank you.
So let's... Tom, we only have a couple more minutes here.
Yeah,
want to get you off the Maddie track real quick from sidetracking. Maddie will go. Anybody that knows Maddie knows you can talk about former U.S. men's national team players, and then he'll get into a different country, and you'll go even longer. So let's just jump back.
That was
to
one
RSL.
time that happened. One time.
Yeah, it wasn't. It was multiple. We've had a lot of fun people on, but Tom, I kind of want to just get your overlook. So we've talked about, okay, this is RSL obviously needs to spend money. They need to do this and this. We're not here to have you give RSL hope necessarily. I want to bring you on to just tell us how you and other MLS top of the league guys that really know the league as a whole kind of see RSL as of right now. We used to have this X-Dog identity, I feel like, where it was
Yeah.
like, this is RSL. And that's kind of gone away where that's not the talking point anymore. What's the RSL talking point and what does it need to be?
Oh, it's a really good question. I think first and foremost, it's going to be around like Luna and Gozo and some of the aggressiveness in the youth acquisition front, and also the trust and belief to give these guys chances, which they have, and that's not always the case. And I don't think that that's a result of being cheap or anything. It's not. It's not something more sinister. I do think that that's just part of the idea, because again, while Gonsalves wasn't like a huge number DP and Ron Cruz, it's not like these were crazy, crazy big, but those were still potential. Like Ron Cruz, it never came to pass because it was a loan. Like 5 million isn't nothing if you're gonna add that. So for me, I think it comes around the youth side of things, and I think they need to get back to it being more X-Dog. And part of that was the most sincere compliment from us of like, we don't think that you have this sincere talent advantage, while we don't think that you're like cavemen with tactics. We're not looking at you like Wilfred Nancy's Columbus Crew. Your forwards are fine and your goalkeeper is fine. Just in the general sense of, I don't have an explanation as to why you're beating all these other teams.
Right.
And part of it is X-Dog, and like it is meant as the sincerest compliment. But sometimes that was a placeholder because I don't know the answer here. Like I can't see it. I can't like it. They're outperforming the sum of their parts, and we'll put that under dog, which is again a very good thing and something you're going to get with Pablo Mastroeni. So I hope we'll see some of that. But again, I think for me it's focused around the youth and the developmental nature of Luna first, and then Gozo and some other guys, and we'll see what maybe Tyler Wolf can be, maybe what Diego Rocio can be. It's probably too soon for a couple of those guys. Chance Cal is another one I'd expect, like Cal and Rocio in particular, start with the Monarchs. But what this team does really, really well is you play well for the Monarchs, you're getting a chance in the first team.
And so my last question, then we'll do just one last question for Maddie and then David, if you have anything as well. My last question kind of goes with that. So Vancouver was a team that we saw, I believe they were seventh or eighth the year prior to their MLS Cup final run, their Conference Champions Cup, where they went disgusting. And they didn't, like, obviously you bring in a world champion in Mueller, yeah, you're going to have higher, but that was also not the biggest thing. They also had their amazing DP10 injured most of the season. So the point is MLS can change fast, right? Mm-hmm. You can be really bad next year and have a really solid team. Vancouver did it with bringing in a brand new coach as well.
Yeah.
What does RSL essentially, I mean, we've talked about the DPs, and it's not like, obviously, if you knew the answer, I'm sure RSL would have the answer as well. So what is the hope, though, that comes from behind those kind of moves? What did you see that happened in Vancouver that can be translated to a market? Because, I mean, obviously Vancouver, massive city, but in terms of just how it's thought of it as market, it's probably pretty close to Salt Lake. So
yeah,
what can we take from that?
No, so for the Vancouver one, and again, that was a team that didn't spend. That is also routinely pointed at as a team that doesn't spend money. And they brought in Mueller, but it was a TAM deal for last year, and he'll be a DP now. It's not as if that they went out and spent some big money. And like you said, Ryan Gauld was out almost essentially the whole year. And he would have been one of the, if we power ranked, like, all right, this team can't lose X player, he would have been pretty high on that list because of how important he is and was to that team. So that came from the coach. They made some decent signings in the winter, but it wasn't anything game changing. Man, I had them I predicted them to be like 14th in the West. I thought they were going to suck. They were like the best team I've seen in a while. So you're right. It does change fast. So that one had more to do with game model, philosophy, and every player got at least a little bit better under Jesper Sorensen. And those are some of the inscrutable things that it's difficult. It's their version of X-Dog, but they did it in a more like tactical way. So we just really, really pointed to the coach. But like Berhalter went from like Austin FC, took him on loan and then sent him back to Columbus. I believe Vancouver acquired him for like $50,000. Tristan Blackman, he was a good defender in MLS. Didn't know if he was going to be a fullback or an outside center back. Bang, defender of the year, and you kind of go on down the list with that. That has a lot to do with coaching and making sure that the players you're signing fit within a game model or at least a basic framework on exactly how you want to play. So then, even if let's say you go through your targets and just by quality alone, you have a couple guys that you think are 9 out of 10, 10 out of 10, and then you go on down the list. Well, if they all play the same style, the 7 out of 10 signing, you don't like. Yeah, maybe you don't get the top of the market guy that you want, but it's going to make that 7 out of 10 a hard 7 out of 10 rather than you sign, let's see, an 8 out of 10 who maybe doesn't quite fit the system or doesn't quite fit the style or whatever. And then all of a sudden that guy's borderline useless because it just wasn't a fit.
Go ahead, Matty.
So I have been accused of being a team apologist, and I don't apologize for that. One thing I've pointed out for RSL last year, because I know when you and Gus and I were, and all of us were talking last year, we kind of tried to predict where RSL would go. And I think at that time we all thought that RSL was about to sign Brian White, and unfortunately it didn't happen. One thing that I keep pointing out is that RSL, again, for like, it seems like an annual occurrence, we've got new ownership in town. And I have defended last year in that when the Millers came in with a week left in the winter transfer window, they immediately tried to bring in Robert Bojnik. Didn't work because we didn't come up with enough Ghanaian dollars or whatever we needed. But then in the summer, they did reinforce. So instead of me getting yelled at by the fans, I'm going to let you do that. How do you evaluate what the Millers have done so far as a statement of intent? And what should RSL fans be looking for if they are looking for optimism under the new ownership group?
I think that they've raised the bar a bit. It's an easy opening press conference when you come in and you take the team and you say, we're going to spend more. It's like, all right, well, I don't think it was physically possible to spend less than the last Deloitte because, like, and that's where the ex-dog stuff was born out of. It's just like Pablo Mat, like Freddie Juarez left the team as head coach to go be an assistant somewhere else. That's what USL team coaches do to come to MLS. Like, you don't, like, that was the state of the team, and they were somehow still making the playoffs because Mastroeni's a wizard. Like, it was awesome. So coming from that, yeah, it's technically true you have spent more because you can't spend any less. I guess I don't remember word for word kind of some of those press conferences, so I don't know really if they over-index that too much, but I would assume that fans thought it would maybe going to be a little bit more by this point. I don't blame them with Bozanic. The only thing I blame them is it ended up being Bozanic or bust in mid-April. I thought that a DP spot would have been used far before then. They end up bringing in Ron Cruz in the summer for that slot. Again, Victor Olatunji came in as well, and Olatunji worked out, unlike Ron Cruz. I'm worried that they're just going to have that same issue as they did last year. Houston's season last year was completely derailed. There's some things out of their control as well. Like Mikael, the transfer offer from Palmeiras for Mikael didn't come until like 3 days before the season started. And it was something that even if they turned it down, I don't know if Mikael was going to show up for the game. It was one of those where you kind of don't have a choice. And they never recovered from that, as well as a couple other things. And this year, whether you like or don't like their signings, they've got everything in place on preseason day one except for their final DP spot, which hopefully will be Bogusz for them. And I use them as an example of last year. They knew like that is what sunk our season more than anything else, more than bad goalkeeper play, more than a couple injuries, more than whatever. It was the whole season we were just trying to scramble, and we never did replace Mikael. So for Real Salt Lake, I would like to see them have learned. And again, if they get a DP signing in by the end of the month, that's good enough for me too. I don't want the season to start and them not have anybody, because then it would feel to me as if they didn't quite learn from last year. And again, I don't know if that's a front office thing. I don't know if that's, I doubt it's a front office thing, but I'm not even necessarily totally blaming that on ownership, where it's just like, oh, you know, $500,000 would actually get this deal done right now. Like, I'm not suggesting that they're like penny pinching or anything, but whatever the solution is, I think it's really important this year that they have a new DP, or if it ends up being two, that, you know, over the next month.
Over the next month is a big key. And I mean, if we were going to take out several just clips of what you said, I would say, one, Pablo Mastroeni is a wizard. I think that we're still getting hints of, okay, what's going on at the coaching level. We got the preseason roster official today, and they've replaced some of the coaches with just other coaches in the organization in the Royals. So that's interesting. But also, you mentioned Cruz being gone. He wasn't on the preseason roster. So, I mean, even though it's not been officially announced, I feel like that's about as official as it can get. And then My other favorite thing is RSL is not technically, or is not doing the least technically. Basically, there's other teams that aren't doing as much, but it's because they're already there. So, Tom, thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy schedule. I know the off season is your busy season when you start getting all these rumors, and hopefully, I mean, for RSL fans, if you join this thinking that we'd be getting some groundbreaking news, I apologize. But hopefully Tom just does his job a little bit better and even has to make him up. Even I don't know. Lies would do better for me than just nothing at this point. So
Rodriguez, is that
yeah, no, not that one. That one actually
No.
really got me going last year. Not that one.
We get that rumor every window, bud. You don't have to do
Yeah,
that one.
that if you could, I don't know, just a player that's like well known.
Harvey
Just
Elliott.
put RSL is in the mix.
Charlotte's ahead
Or
of you.
ours. I think the word inquired is my favorite one because that one's the one that people run on. It's like Austin Villa inquired about Gozon. It's like cool. That doesn't mean anything. They asked about an up and coming U.S. men's national. I would assume a lot of teams are. So
Did
that's
you
what I
just
need
say-
from you though, except for RSL.
I'm sorry,
Maybe
did you just
Mbappe.
say Austin Villa? Is that what just came out of your mouth?
Buddy, I'm a Leeds fan. We're barely in the Premier League. Like, we're up and down.
Yeah,
You
why
can't
bother
expect me-
learning how to name the teams?
I only watch Leeds, and we're going back to the championship next year. Like, they're not in the championship with us ever. We're not going to stay up. We're going down again. It's just how it works. I don't have to learn the team. I need to learn the teams of the championship much more. So that's all I have. But Tom, again, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate you. RSL fans appreciate you coming and giving your insight. It's always fun when we can get someone that has just, as vast knowledge as you do, where this is your entire life and your job. So where can RSL find what you put out there? You're back with The Athletic.
Indeed.
Where can we find everything that you're doing?
Yeah, The Athletic. Read me there. Find me on all social medias. Blue Sky at Tom Bogert. Soccer-wise, as you guys have plugged very generously, Inside American Soccer as well. If you just want a U.S. men's national team focused show, I love doing stuff with you guys. The support and friendship is genuine. You guys are awesome. I would love to be able to report a big money signing for you guys. I think you more than anybody else deserves it at the moment. But for real, I don't know. You guys are awesome at what you do, and you're so very integral to all of this. And so, yeah, whenever I have time, I'm here.
Well, thank you, Tom. We love you, and make sure to subscribe to The Athletic to be able to see everything. Just so you know, I unsubscribed when you left, and then I resubscribed when you came back. It legitimately was the only reason I resubscribed, and I got on one of those, 12 months for $1 a month deal, and it comes out from my Apple Cash that I don't even know I have. So if people are ever complaining about the Athletic subscription, that's probably the easiest one to find a deal on. So make sure you can go and
Don't
support
think
Tom
about
and other local journalists.
I love that Hayden's sell is I'm paying you because I like your work, but as little as possible.
As little as possible.
I made
I'll
sure,
blame
but I'll tell you this, Tom, I didn't get my $1. This dude has
True.
owed me
I've lost
$1
a
for
bet,
almost
yeah.
a year. At least you're getting $1 every month from this guy.
Got to get it in Apple Cash.
Well, he won't accept it. He expects me, Tom, before you leave, tell me if this is a good expectation or if it's bullcrap. He expects me to mail him a physical dollar. He won't take Venmo, Apple Cash, anything. He wants me to mail him a physical dollar for something that, and the bet, by the way, he says almost a year. It was back in August. It wasn't even that long ago.
That was 2 transfer windows ago.
And he's over here talking about how he mentions it every single time I see him. I'm like, Matty, I'm not mailing you $1, accept my stupid Apple Cash, and he won't do it.
For a bet that's $1, I think
Yeah.
it's fair to expect that in
Thank you,
in
Tom.
an envelope. If it was
He's taking my side, Hayden.
No, he just said he doesn't think it's fair.
I think it's fair because
Oh, Tom!
If it was I don't know what the exact cutoff is, but at least to be able to buy a coffee, then I think you could Venmo a cash. This is more about the principle of you putting a stamp on an envelope and mailing something more than the physical dollar.
But Tom, I don't think I've ever put a stamp on something. I don't think I've ever mailed something. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know the
they are very
step.
helpful. I don't do that often. They are helpful
Yeah.
at the post office when you come in looking like a deer in headlights. I just spent we did Secret Santa with the Doyle, Weeby, Kalen, and Goss and them. And I got Doyle, and I mailed him a hard hat, a construction hard hat, and just said, get to fucking work, something stupid like that. I walk into the post office just holding a hard hat. I was just like, I don't know what to do with this.
They're just like, you need to
The guy's
leave,
like, well, there's
dude.
boxes over there. And I said, okay, that's a start. And then he goes, well, there's tape on the box. I was like, all right, cool. And then he has to retape the whole thing. He's like, are you sure the address is right? It's like, it's fair that you're asking me this. You haven't inspired much confidence. All that is to say, you can go in there and be like, listen, man, I don't mail stuff often. And then maybe you deduct, if like, I don't know how much a roll stamp, or if you can just buy one stamp, deduce from the dollar how much the stamp costs. The change goes back in the envelope.
He's gonna get cents in the mail at this point.
I didn't
It's
agree
like,
to that.
he's gonna
trying to
get
mediate
2
here.
quarters, couple nickels, and call it a day.
I need $1 so that I can frame it. I can't frame coins.
That's a great point.
All right.
It's going to turn into a whole like we didn't agree on whether it was going to be $1 or a euro or a
Return to
Canadian
sender.
dollar.
Return to sender.
Oh, see, Tom knows that I'm right because he's played with my brother and he doesn't want me to rip the back of your shirt.
Yes.
He knows that I would do at
Decisions
this
in here
point.
somewhere.
I'll just wait until you're back in Utah and then give you the $1. I'm not sending you $1. It's ridiculous. I'm not doing it. But Tom, thank you so much for your time today. Feels like we've said goodbye a couple times and we're over by 10 minutes, but that's having Maddie on and you on at the same time. I don't think we've ever stayed on schedule. But again, RSL fans, you can find this Tom's work on really any social medias. He's out there. If you can't find him, that's more on you. Tech savvy, not having internet access. I don't know what it is, but make sure to go and find his work. If you are ever wondering, is this legit? Go and look at Tom. If it's not on Tom's, then you should start questioning. And then you go down the other sources. Step 1, always see, has Tom reposted this, posted it, anything like that. Otherwise, don't take its word. It's just a very far-fetched rumor at that moment. And that's my rules for the off-season. But, Tom, thank you so much. RSL fans, thank you so much for listening to this episode.
Appreciate
We
you
will be
guys.
back with you guys next time.